Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work.
Let the conversation begin. This is Let's Talk with your host, Carl Lee.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carl Lee, and I'm your host of Let's Talk. Let's Talk is a deep dive into sports, culture, and the social issues and how they connect and shape today's society. If you're looking to get in contact with us, let's go. You can email me at letstalkcarllee@gmail.com. letstalkcarllee@gmail.com. You can text me at 409-422-7539. 409-422-7539. All right, I've got my co-host here, and I got a couple guys, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. As far as Hollis Lewis, I think most people know him, so we'll start with Donald Cunningham. Talk to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Donald Cunningham. I went to Capitol High School, graduated in '93. Spent 2 years at Marshall, and then did my college career down at West Virginia State under Carl Lee's tutelage. Currently, I work at Frontier Communications. I help with the football program over at South Charleston High School, again, thanks to Coach Lee. I just like working with kids and trying to give back to the community. That's one of my big goals.
And Mr. Sherrod.
Rick Sherrod here, former Capitol High School Cougar, West Virginia Mountaineer, also a professional athlete. Glad to be a part of the show today.
All right, so real quick, give us a little bit of what you thought about Huggins being fired.
I thought it was disappointing because I think we needed him, but like I say, he's made a couple of mistakes, and after a while, you gotta answer for him. So the fact that West Virginia's kind of struggling right now, looking for players to bring in so we can, get back to the type of program that we normally have, it's sad that happened because that kind of set us back. But hopefully we'll get some guys in there that know what they're doing and can help pick up the program.
Hopefully the current coach will be able to hold some of those players in. And it seems like maybe some of those guys are going to stay. But I wanted to give a little WVU shout out since we had talked about Hugs the other day. And all right, so today's conversation. So let's talk about it, all right? My thoughts are this when it comes to the transition from, let's say, youth football, middle school, high school, college, and pro, okay? This show, I'm hoping parents and or coaches understand, and the kids understand, this is the reality. Hopefully we can give you the reality of what it requires to transition from one level to the next, and what is probably some of the problem. As a coach, okay, as a high school coach, I get to say, and I've said several times, I was not a great football coach, and I have never claimed to be a good football coach. But I was never a coach who was interested in anything but the players in which I coached. No matter what that situation was, whatever it was we were going through, my focus was on those athletes. Okay? Today, I am bothered a little bit by the idea of the win-all, be-all situation that I think some, not all, but some coaches are in, whether it be youth, whether it be middle school, whether it be high school. Now, we all know college and professional, that's a business. Yeah. And when you go, which is part of the show, when you go to college, and we'll talk about this more, you are going to be like an employee of that university. So I'm interested in Because I see youth football this way. Jump in, grab me. If I'm wrong, let me know. I think youth football, what happens in youth football is you get this kid. He's a running back or he's your quarterback. He's athletic. We hand him the ball and we win. And we win the championship and we're happy, okay? He leaves there, goes to middle school. And all of a sudden, there's a reality check. Maybe he's not starting his first year. Mom, dad, upset, mad. We don't even want to go to this middle school anymore. We're going to go somewhere else. There's a false reality there in that transition. Middle school. Kid's good. He's learned a little bit more technique. He's got a little bit more. He's the best player on the team. Goes to high school. He can't show. He's not showing up. He can't get in the lineup. Mom's mad. Dad's mad. We transferring somewhere else because the school's not good. The coaches are not this. Then all of a sudden, that kid who manages to get to that D1 program or that college program, for the first time in his or her life, they see the business of sports. And there's a host of them unable to maintain or to sustain their ability to be in that school.
See,
they come home.
I think they're seeing the business of sports a little earlier.
They may be.
Yeah.
They may be. But I'm concerned about the action. The actions or the impact of, or the expectation of those athletes in the transition. Because I'm telling you now, I was a 10th grader at South Charleston High School, and Steve Miller was a free safety. Now, Steve Miller, I don't know if he played college ball or anything like that. I knew he was better than me at that point. I sit in that transition and waited my turn. Robert Alexander's a senior in that class. And he's trying to tell me, jump in the lineup, and he's my guy. So I jump in at the tailback. And I get hit by Pete Polkary, and I was like, no, we'll do this. We'll do this some other kind of way, because I'm gonna get on that other side of the ball, because I can't do it. My concern is the parent or the child who's getting this success is unaware of the requirements of the transition to the next level.
Well, each level you go up, it's going to get tougher. And I can only speak from my experiences. When I was growing up, I played on the west side, went to Wilson Junior High School. And there were two junior high schools when I was in growing up, Wilson and Lincoln. The first year I was at Wilson, I played 7th grade, 8th grade. Like, I had to look up to other people. Like you said, you was behind people. I was behind Mike Terry, him and my brother Sean. I got an older brother. He was in the pecking order, so I was behind them. So when they graduated, they went up to high school, and we combined with Stonewall. So Wilson and Lincoln became one school. So just think, it was two schools. So I just knew at Wilson I was going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be the man at Wilson.
Right.
I was the man at Western General, so I knew I was going to be the man. But then Lincoln and Wilson combined, so the competition level was even worse. So my first year out there, I went out to practice, and we had a new coaching staff. They took Lincoln's coaching staff, so they didn't really see me play when I was in 8th grade. So when we got out there, they put me at number 89. I was fast. They had me playing tight end. We was playing wishbone. I'm like, man, I played running back all my life, man. I ain't no tight end. I'm 89. So I was like one of them kids. I'm like, man, I ain't playing tight end. So I quit. My brother Andre, my oldest brother, he was like, no, you can't quit, man. You love football. He said, you need to go out there and show them, just practice. You know what I'm saying? You got to show what position you want to play, tell them you want to play, get out there and practice. So I practiced. End up making all-county. I was like the captain of the all-county team. And just imagine, I almost didn't play because I wasn't going to get a chance. Get to Capitol High School. I'm a 10th grader. I was pretty fast. And that was
That's
one of the
playing
good
it
things
down.
for me.
That's playing it down.
That was one of the good. That was one of the things that was working for me. That I was pretty fast. So get up to Capitol High School. We got guys I'm looking up to, Eric Smedley. You know, I knew I couldn't get on the field before them guys like you say, Steve Miller. I knew I had to wait my turn before I got up there. But each year, like my 10th grade year, I played a little bit at receiver, played a little bit of DB, but didn't really get a lot of time. Just we were blowing in, I get garbage time. But by the time I become a senior, I'm all state. So each level you go up, it gets tougher, but it also gets easier because you're going. Then when I get to the north-south game, that's when you really see it. Because in high school, everyone is not good. You got some players that you know that they just out there, they just want a uniform and they gonna get in garbage time. North-south, everyone was good, and you had to fight. We fight and we practicing for a week. Like, all right, are you gonna watch this game or are you gonna play this game? So we in here fighting. Get to college. I didn't lift a weight till I got to college. I wish someone would have told me that.
Because that's part of the transition.
I wish someone would have told me that because I did basketball, track, football. So I was always active. It wasn't like I wasn't doing anything, but I dreaded the weight room. I thought it would hinder my speed.
Slow you down.
I thought it would hinder my speed because I was like, man, I ain't lifting because I had a little back problem my senior year. I'm like, man,
not to mention when you don't lift weights and you go in there and you try to lift weights for the first time, it's going to feel so heavy. Yeah. It's going to be embarrassing to you.
And when you see these grown men, when you get up there in college that have been lifting, so like I said, each level you go up, it is much more competitive. Get up to college and I see grown men, I'm like, man, look at me. I'm soaking wet and 145 pounds, and these guys 6'2", 230, cut up like a chisel like somebody just carved them. I'm like, man, I ain't ready for so red shirt. I get red shirted. End up at Marshall for 2 years. So it's tough out there. You in West Virginia, we're a little small town, and we think that just because you excel here, that you're going to excel everywhere. But it's people coming from all over the country, and they are working. So you got to work. You got to work.
Yeah, well, one thing that comes to mind when I started playing, youth on up is that I was scared to death to play football. I didn't have a choice but to run fast. Now, in midget league, you kind of get away with just your natural ability, being able to run, and I had some pretty good moves. Matter of fact, I don't really think I got tackled in midget league. Junior high, I'm not going to lie, I took a couple of years off because I was scared to death. The players, they were a lot bigger. And I felt I was small. I didn't feel like I was ready, so I took a couple of years off, came out my 9th grade year, and actually did really well. Was starting it within a couple of weeks. Had a good 9th grade year. Scored a lot of touchdowns, more than I thought I would. And then that's when Capitol High came around. Coach Jefferson started talking to me after some of our games, and I told Coach, I said, look, I don't think I want to play high school ball. I think I'm too small. He said, no, come on out. You have a good frame. We can work with you. So a couple weeks go by. I still didn't come out. He calls, catches me on the phone. I'll never forget. I'm on the couch watching TV, just laying there. He said, well, what are you doing?
No caller ID. I'm going
no
to
caller ID because I wouldn't have got the phone because I was avoiding Coach. Right. I was scared to death. But he called me. I was on the couch. I'll never forget. And he said, what are you doing? I said, just watching TV. He said, won't you come on out? I said, Coach, I don't know if I can do it. I'm too small. He said, just come on out and give it a shot. So I went out a couple of weeks late. And I'm not going to lie, they didn't show me any extra love. He put me on scout team. They beat me up. I was scared to death. But once I got hit, something clicked in me. I just couldn't let that be, So once I got hit the first time, I knew I had to really step up if I'm going to do this. And my thing is, if I'm going to do something, you got to make sure that you follow through with it. You just don't want to quit, start something and then quit. That sends the wrong message. My thing with myself was always finish what you start. So I stuck it out. Really went from no playing time to a little bit of playing time. And by my 11th grade year, started starting a few games because my mindset was no matter how much time I got, how many few plays that they gave me, I was going to make the best of it. So the coaches saw that. They saw my work ethic. They saw how hard I worked. Even though I felt I was small, they knew I was scared. They saw that I wasn't going to quit. And by my senior year, I was starting, and I was excited about that. And it went from starting to now performing, scoring. Touchdowns became second nature. I got to where if I didn't score, I didn't feel like I did my part. So that led into scouts coming to watch you, and then maybe talk of going to college. And then I took a couple of college visits after the end of my senior year. Saw a couple of, honestly, Division I stadiums, and I said to myself, I have to have that. I want to play in one of these stadiums. And it just so happened to be West Virginia, where I ended up, and I'm grateful for that because I met a lot of good people, played for a lot of legendary coaches, great teammates, great atmosphere, learned a lot there, things that I can take with me to show these youngsters exactly, what I went through and what I learned. And I'm telling you, it's not what you think. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of things around that. It's about the total package, not just one category being strong, fast. It's about several categories. Does he look good? Can he represent the team well, the organization? Can he speak? It's a lot of different things that you guys don't consider. You think it's just all about sports, and it's about so much more than that. And a lot of us don't find that out until it's too late.
Right. Hollis?
Well, all those were good stories, so I got to be the antithesis of this. And again, to your point, and I think as far as addressing the transition from level to level, I think a lot of kids are coming in physically ready, right? Because of all the training and they're playing a lot. So I don't think that physical intimidation is there like it used to be. Because obviously, like Donald articulated, we didn't train, we didn't lift weights. We wasn't, we were playing sports constantly, but we wasn't training for that particular sport or season to come up. So, but now kids are doing that. So the missing part,
some,
I would say most are doing something. They're doing something. If they're playing, they're doing something.
Okay.
They may not be. They may not be like training hardcore, but they're putting in a month or a couple weeks. So they're playing 7-on-7.
Okay.
They're doing something
to
get prepared for that particular sport. But I think what happens is that, like Rick just mentioned, I don't think the mental part is there in that. They're not coming in there. I'm not waiting my turn. I'm not waiting behind Smiley. I'm not waiting behind Miller. I'm not waiting behind those guys. I put in the work. I've done what I needed to do during the offseason. So now I need to go somewhere and I need to start. Because, again, as you mentioned earlier at the opening of the broadcast, is that we're talking about business now. And business don't start in college no more. Them days is over. Business now is creeping up into Little League. And I'll give you an example. There is a kid who is transitioning from Little League to middle school. He has an NIL deal on the table right now today, currently as we speak.
In what state is that in?
I forget the state, and I should have got that. But he has currently, and again, I don't know if it's like for real, but they're talking about NIL deal. I don't know if it's the ink is signed yet. But in addition to even absence of that, we're talking about high school players are getting NIL deals. I think in New York, they're opening it up. Florida, they're talking about opening up. And then California, they're opening up. So as soon as they open up in California, it's going to be open to the whole United States. In addition to that, we're talking about kids who parents, you post your kid on social media. You open the TikToks and the Instagram accounts for those kids. And those kids now have thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers that can watch their highlights. And they could potentially garner some dollars off of that social media account. So when we're talking about this transition, the transition now isn't, am I going to wait my turn? I need to get better. The transition now is like, what's going to be the best fit for me to continue this? And it's on that, like I sound like a broken record, but as we've been talking, the agent parent. Now it's on the agent parent to figure that out as well. So the transition is different now than it was, in our day. Okay, so
if they're able to get money early on. Here's the reality of high school to college. Everybody is somewhere is a top player or a top 10 player or a top 50 player, or you know what I'm saying? Like somebody's that in every state and all of that, right? Yeah. But that doesn't qualify you. That doesn't say, okay, I can now go to Alabama and be a starter. Alabama may not even come and see you.
I don't need Alabama now.
No.
That's what some of these kids are thinking. I don't need that now.
What are they? Okay, so what? Okay, let me
goals?
say this.
Are they trying to get
That's
to the
what
league?
I'm saying.
Or are they
Goals
just trying
is
to
different.
make
Okay,
money?
what are we? Okay, so in the okay, so let me start at youth football. So I've got, and I'll use my grandson. So I got my grandson, and I want him to be the star. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna probably coach. Okay, I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna come. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be on the stand.
Problem.
That is the problem. That is the problem. That's the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get on. Because I'm gonna try to get this daddy ball thing going. My son is gonna be the running back. Anybody got any questions with that? Okay, no, all right. So he's gonna be there. Now I'm gonna give him the ball way more time than I'm gonna give any one of you three's son a ball, cause I need my son. I'm looking for that deal.
Mm-hmm. That coaching it for the wrong reason.
Absolutely, but we know that to be true. Unfortunately, we all sitting around this table knowing that this is true.
Yeah,
it is doable.
And that's not a new concept.
It's not.
Certainly not.
No,
it's hard to
not.
coach your children, though. I know I coach my son, and it's hard to coach your own children. And I don't even want to coach him because it's hard.
My dad never would have even thought about coaching because he was going to deal with me at home. About any of the mistakes that I made, we were going to deal with that at home. So once Dad gets control of that, now he starts to lose control because the son scores a bunch of touchdowns because he's the star, because he's athletic. So now he's going to middle school. Back in the day, it'd be junior high for us. Okay, so now you're on the lower end of middle school. Are you more athletic than the kid they already had? Probably not. To your point, and you're saying that it's okay.
I'm not saying okay. I'm talking about reality.
So what I'm going to do? Reality. And again, I'm speaking to that dad, that mom, that kid who may be in this situation, and I'm just making a case that you need to rethink it, because it doesn't matter where you leave, going from youth football to middle school. I don't care what middle school that you go to. If I could say, okay, Hollis, look, I'm bringing my son to you. I just need him to play. We cool. You say, okay. He gets in, he plays. Whether he does good, bad, or indifferent, he's still going to wake up when he's a ninth grader in high school. Because you ain't going to get that. You ain't going to get that.
It makes a difference, though, because you can't make that generalization that it doesn't make a difference where you attend a school or the coach you play for. Because program, like we mentioned, there is a lot of bad coaches out here. There just is. And that's not to hate on nobody. That's not to disparage anybody. There's a lot of bad coaches. So if I go to school A with the bad coach versus school B with the good coach, and I have that choice, I'm going to go to school B with the good coach.
But my point is, you still the same player.
But
so
again,
that good coach is not going to make you run no 4.240.
He may be able to inspire. He may be able to teach something different in you. It just is.
All right, let's come back and pick up this fight as soon as we come back. Let's take a quick break here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the midst of a fight with Hollis Lewis, my co-host, and I'm probably gonna kick him out of the room sometime before we get done with the show. The conversation, where we are in the conversation now, is we're talking about transition. What are the requirements of transitioning through sports from each level, and the reality of the parent who, if his kid is not able to make that transition and make us into the starting lineup, he's going to go somewhere else. I'm making the case that I think I'm sitting behind Steve Miller, and my dad ain't thinking about me leaving. He's thinking about outwork him. I wasn't going to be as good as him. As a 10th grader. Now you're talking about 9th grade. I don't think there's a 9th grader that could have beat you out as a senior. Maybe. At a quarterback. If we know that, right? Mm-hmm. If we know that, like when Robert Alexander was coming through, or when Randy Moss was coming through, if you played his position, anywhere going forward, you were in trouble because you weren't going to.
But those are exceptional cases.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
We can't count that.
But for the only reason I'm using those is because that's the reality. Most of us don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, when I got to be a senior, there was nobody was going to come to the high school from junior high and take my position at safety. No, there's no way that's going to happen.
Most of the coaches that I ever played for, if you can play, you can play.
Right.
They're going to play you.
Right.
They're not going to play you based off favoritism or anything like that. I'm not in the midget league level. I'm saying once you get to middle school and high school and college, if you can play, you're going to play, regardless of age. But if you can't play, you're going to have to wait your turn. I mean, like Rick said, he was scared. I had that same kind of story that Rick was talking about because I didn't want to play my 9th grade year. But Coach Jay called me as well. I was like, come on out. I didn't skip a couple of weeks. I went out at the start of the season, but I was like, man, I'm too small to be going up there and playing with Big Mike Gray. And he 300 pounds and running a 840. I'm like, man, how can I play with this guy? I ain't ready for that. But if you can play, you can play. So, I mean, coaches, they gave me the shot. They wasn't like, all right, these guys are in front of you, and we're not going to play you. You go out here and practice. You earn your position. We're going to put you in there and play.
And I think that happens.
And that's most of my coaching that I've experienced through all of my football career.
I think those who can play get that. But it is those who what is the shock? What is the problem? It's the parent or the kid who assumes they are better than what they actually are.
But I think, again, we grew up in a different era. Our era was built on competition. You from the West Side, I'm from the West Side. Everything Rick from the West Side. Everything you do,
we've had this conversation.
Everything you done was about competition.
Absolutely.
You couldn't do nothing without it being competitive. I mean, you can't walk down the street. It's about whose shoes better, who taller, who got the most. Everything was competition. Kids ain't built it. It's not competition. It's about shine now. So the question is that how do you manage the shine? How do you not necessarily make sure everybody shine, but how do we address that? Because kids it ain't about everybody friends, everybody kick it, they all play together.
Okay, so let's say, Ricky, me and you will have this conversation. So to your point, everybody's shining. Okay, everybody's shining.
That's what everybody wants.
Everybody wants to shine. See, what happens though, when you get to a level where you shined, but you don't fit the measurements, you don't fit the times, so you don't get. So all the shining that you're doing is if you're trying to get I'm gonna make this case. If you're trying to get to college, you're trying to get to Sunday. There is more than you just shining. There's more than just shining.
But I done worked out with the trainer all offseason, Coach Lee. It's Coach Lee's fault. He ain't letting me shine. Coach Lee ain't letting me shine. Okay, so Ricky, help me with this. So I didn't help you. I didn't help Hollis shine because he wasn't good enough to shine. So mom's mad, dad's mad. Everybody in the family is mad at me, and I'm already claiming I ain't no special coach. I'm just a guy who's coaching. Okay, help me with the idea of you don't have it. Like you don't have enough of it.
Well, first off, especially at the college level, if you're not on the first, second, third, or sometimes the fourth string, you're not seeing the field at all. And sometimes that takes more than just showing up and practicing. It takes going to class every day, making your grades, being a responsible role model. They're looking for the total package out there. Nowadays,
so if I don't have all that, I'm quitting and blaming it on the coach, right? I'm going to blame it on the coach.
A lot of these parents, though, don't see what's going on Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, whatever level you're on, and see what's going on during the week. They just watch the game. They're like, oh, my son can do this. But they don't see what that son did at practice during the week with the coaches and what the coaches is seeing.
What they remember, though, is the coach is what their kid used to be, right. And why is he not being that now?
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We've built an industry of not being honest, right? Like I said, like I just mentioned, back in the day, everything was competitive. So you knew you was the slowest out your crew. You may have had the best jump shot, so you had to work with that. You was honest about yourself. I'm the source. I'm not the best at football, man, but I'll be the best at basketball or baseball, whatever. We built an industry of not being honest with our kids because now what do? Like I said, we forget the season. Let's back it up. We taking our kids to a trainer. So the trainer ain't gonna tell that mom that little Johnny ain't got it. I don't give a damn. Excuse me. I don't care how much I train him. I don't care how much you pay me. He ain't got it. I'm a trainer. I ain't telling that kid that because I still need that coin to come in.
Get that money.
So I have to train him. Then you take him to 7-on-7. I'm not gonna tell that kid, well, we don't really want you because I may not have bodies in the summer. I may need you to contribute somehow. Or the AAU coach, same thing. Or the travel football coach, the same thing. I'll take you because I need to fill up this team. So we built a culture of not being honest, and which it doesn't allow the kid to be honest about their own particular skill set, what they're good at and what they may not be good at. Because honestly, you may not be good at football. Maybe you need to go join the swim team. Maybe you need to go play tennis. Maybe you need to go play lacrosse or do something else or go play do golf.
Ricky.
Yeah, but football's not about just being good at it. Sometimes other people are there for other reasons. It could be an out for you. Mm-hmm. You might be trying to get to the pros. You might be trying to get to college. I just might be trying to get out of the house. So everybody's there for different reasons.
Right.
But one thing's for sure, football and sports brings people together, different colors, different cultures, teaches you social skills. I might not be comfortable around you, but after a few games, a few practices with you, I might feel a little more comfortable with you, And that's what sports does. It kind of brings you together. So some that are missing family members might look at sports as a family member,
Well, see, but again, I'm making the case, I agree 100% with you. And 0 with Hollis.
Why you feel me?
0 with Hollis.
But you got to feel me.
Because I feel you.
You got to feel me.
But D, here's my thing.
I think you agree, but you just don't like what I'm saying.
I think that you're saying it wrong. Okay? So D, here's what I'm saying. If I nurture my kid to be this and assume that he's great because he's playing right in the little neighborhood football in the youth. Now he's going to the local middle school, and he's doing he's pretty good. And then he fools around and goes to high school, and all of a sudden he's a receiver, and now you're coaching him. He's a DB, you're coaching him. He's a quarterback, you coaching him, and the reality is he ain't really that good. Now, who's mad? One, y'all, you all are the problem because I've seen my kid be good, or I even thought he was great at one point, and now all of a sudden you talking about he ain't gonna start. You talking about him sitting down. See, the transition. I'm not challenging the transition of the kid is good. I'm talking about the kid. Unfortunately, the kid who is good at the level in which he's playing, but can't make the transition.
What some parents don't get though either is they looking right here at this level.
Exactly.
They not looking ahead.
Exactly.
Like, true. For example, I just came from Springfield, Ohio, running the track meet. My son 8 and under. But when we watching races, we looking. He may be able to compete on 8 and under, but look at this dude that's 11. When he get to high school, that's who my son gonna be competing against. He not gonna be competing at the same level. So these people not looking ahead. Your son was running the ball on the C team, but what was that 18 dude doing?
Exactly.
That 18 dude was doing the same thing you was doing on the C team. So when you get to high school, you think that 18 player that was doing the same thing, you think you should be doing it over him. And a lot of parents get mad at that. Like on Western Journal, it's like we had to wait our turn. Like when your first year going up on the B team. I was a lineman.
I was a lineman too.
I was a lineman too.
I was the fastest on my team. So next year I got to run the ball when I was that older kid. So some of these parents, they don't look ahead of what's really ahead of the kid.
That goes to structure. That goes
and
to
that's
a program.
Giving them false hope.
Wait. How are you going to how are you going to agree when you say that's a parent and then say that's a culture thing?
What I'm saying is that we established that culture at Western Generals. I had to play. If you was coming in your first year, ABC, that you had to play lineman. If you was nice, you played tight end. If you was nice, you played tight end. And then that second, you got to run the ball. But that's a culture thing, which we don't have that no more. So what I'm saying is that if we talking about this transition, ain't nobody being honest with these kids. No,
now we on the same page.
We're not being honest with them because we're not saying, look, you was a good.
Just because their daddies are the coach.
But I'm saying but everybody's incentivized not to be honest with them, because as a middle school coach, it ain't like back in the day where I might have 50, 60, 80 kids at a middle school now. You barely might get 20 now. So I need bodies. So it ain't on me to say what you can't do. It's on me to say, oh yeah.
Why you think they only getting 20 though?
It's on me to say, because I need that body coming. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was going to state, I was working at the pool in the summer. Rico Bradley, he walks up to me and say, hey, I guess he knew who I was. He's going to say, I was like, yeah, boom, boom. He said, you don't look like it. Straight up. That means he was telling me, you ain't lifting no weights, you not in shape, you don't look like a college football player. Straight up, dead honest. We don't have that no more. Because if we had that, then if I go tell mom and dad, they mad at me. So nobody's honest with nobody no more.
But why the parents? To me,
and we can't expect the parents to be honest because they got
Goggles.
goggles on. They got goggles
Blinders on
Yeah.
with their kid. They
okay. So then, so are we going to allow the kid to keep over or looking at himself and assuming because he's the best at this level now that's going to carry over to the next level?
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't he think that? If ain't nobody telling him different, why wouldn't you think if I was good at Little League,
see,
I was good in middle school, I'm supposed to be good in high school? You gonna think that?
My problem with that is this. It's because the moment that I think I'm good, I ain't working. I don't need to work.
That's your mentality, though, and that's not 90% of people. That's not 90% of people. People don't think like that. People who made the pros, y'all may think like that. I'm just talking about athletics.
But I would say I was making the case so as not making the pros. But if I'm good, I'm just gonna sit here and think that I'm just good. I'm not gonna put no time in. I'm not gonna put no time in because what? I'm starting ahead of Ricky. I'm already starting in front of Donald. So I ain't going to do no work. But you know what I know? Those two are going to walk me down, and then the first thing I'm going to say is I'm transferring somewhere because Donald took my job.
You still may be putting in work, but you may not be putting in the right work to make the correct transition. So I'm saying if I'm good in middle school, I'm good at Little League and good in middle school, and I've done putting some work in those transitions, maybe that kid is still pitting, or that parent's still pitting in that same level of work. They're not thinking about the work has to be upgraded or it has to be analyzed so I can make that big jump that has to happen.
The goal is in the show. The goal is to make sure that parent hears this and say, don't look down at the transitions of what your kid has already made, because that's over.
Yeah.
Look at what is needed for him to excel on the next level. And I probably have said this story somewhere before. I'm in Minnesota. I'm moving from safety to corner, and there's a dude there from University of Miami, and he had been starting for 2-3 years, and he's talking to me about slow down in the conditioning drills. And I look at him, I said, bro, look, I ain't got nowhere to go. You either run with me or don't say nothing to me. Whose job do I ultimately take? His. Why? He wasn't willing to put work and was going to try to convince me to chill.
That's cold.
Like, I'm like, look,
that's
dude,
a tactic.
You can't make that happen. Yeah. And to this day, he says to me out loud, my career would have been like yours if I'd have played behind the D line that you played behind.
Oh, that's his
belief.
Okay.
That's his belief. Bro, I can't give you that. You had a chance to play behind them. The reason you didn't play behind them is me.
Okay, but so to answer the question,
and that's work.
To present the question though,
okay.
So how do we get parents to develop that mentality?
I'm hoping that this round table here is we're sitting here telling you, and we're telling the young athlete who somebody is saying is good, you ain't good enough. Not yet.
Okay, so let me just present a different question. So I'll ask everybody questions. So how do we do that? How do we enforce that? How do we get not only the parent to think and look ahead, the kid to look ahead, when they're plastered on social media, when they're plastered and they get so much attention and shine from the things that's already happening?
Who's putting them on there?
I mean, it's just not the parents all the time.
I know that.
Sometimes it's just, people, like I said, you go through YouTube and Instagram, and there's sites and channels dedicated, whole channels dedicated to finding youth sports videos and showing you this is the class of 2045. He's the next running back. He's 5 years old and he's so good. And I'm telling you, it's just whole channels dedicated to this.
I'm with you.
So how do you manage that ego? How do you manage that? And then starting at 5 years old. Help me out.
It's hard.
I'm gonna leave it.
They got to look forward. That's what I'm saying. Like my son, I don't want to brag on my son, but he was one of the fastest in the state of West Virginia. But when you go out of state, he just looked like, man, he getting ran by like these kids out there working. It's kids working, like Coach said, they out there working. And if you don't put in that work, they not gonna come and get you. Now you on this level here, and you run against people that's your same age. That's what parents got to realize. Your son he's awesome in midget league because he's playing with people on the same age. When you get to junior high, you're not playing with people on your same age. You got kids that are older than you. You got kids that are 2 years older than you. Some kids getting held back, they may be 4 years older than you. You got to realize, yes, your son was great at midget league playing against 8-year-olds. Yes, he was great playing against 9-year-olds. There wasn't a big age gap in between them individuals. But once you get into middle school, once you get into high school, once you get into college, that age gap widens. You playing against grown men. You playing against
how do you
older people.
But how do you communicate that to an 8-year-old? How do you? What I'm saying is that
don't put that on the 8-year-old.
No, because you have to.
Put that on the 8-year-old.
What I'm saying
let's put it on the adult.
No, hold on.
Put it on the adult.
What I'm saying
I'll
is
let
that
my son know.
the 8-year-old is on social media. He got this phone just like you got, and I got this phone, and he's seeing himself. Or when he out with dad and mom, and he's seeing mom and dad's friend. Oh boy, I seen you run that. I seen you run them hurdles.
No.
I seen you in that little league. So I'm saying. At that age, he used to that attention. And if you're getting that attention, how do you manage that at that age?
Just like Donald said. Look, you doing well here, in this little community right here. You first place and all that. When I take it to the big city, you 4th place, 5th place. That's where you got to work. Ain't nobody. Listen, I wasn't trying to beat out anybody at Marshall. I wasn't trying to beat out anybody at South Charleston. But I was already looking to Sunday. I'm looking for the dude from the University of Miami. I'm looking at him. And look, I'll make this case. And Ricky, vouch for me. Whether or not you have that as a goal, right? Whether or not you have that as a goal, because you can get to college. It's the same thing. If you don't have if you're not willing to compete, bro, what are you even in sports for?
I'm not necessarily talking about competing. What I'm talking about is managing an ego that is not developing, because most of us got shine, at least in middle. Some of we was good in little league. That was a neighborhood thing. Everybody in your neighborhood knew you was. Middle school, but that ego really, for most of us in this room, started to develop either late middle school or in high school. And at that point, you at a point of maturity where you start to at least have hopes of managing it. What I'm saying is that when that shine starts at 5, 8, 7, 9, what do you do with that kid who used to getting that attention?
You know what you can do with any kid, anybody that thinks they have too much shine for the game? Off-season conditioning.
But that's just getting them better.
No, it's not. It's going to teach you what it takes, the conditioning it takes for this sport. I thought I was going to run through college like midget league, junior high, and high school. When I got there and they took me to my first off-season conditioning program, I've never seen so many grown men, huge men, crawling, crying, complaining, quitting, you name it.
These two been there with me.
We went from 100 and some athletes down to 80 that day. So this is a way to weed out the weak and let them know, look, this is what it takes. There's no excuses. This is exactly what it takes.
See, I think that builds it.
Wait a minute.
That makes it worse.
That group of people that stay on the team, that go through that conditioning, that's who I was looking for when I was at state.
That's right.
That's who I was looking for. And now, forget football. Look at yourself now. Look what those challenges that was put in front of you at state. Not trying to take any credit, not trying to be arrogant or nothing about, but because somebody did it to me.
But we ain't talking about grown men. I'm talking about between the ages of 8 and 12. When you are shining hard, when you are good at all sports, you all over the internet.
Donald has given us the playbook. Donald has given us the playbook.
He talking about parents, though. I'm saying for the kid. It's the kid.
I guarantee you. Well, tell us about your kid. Does he understand the difference? Does he understand, like, here, okay, I'm this. But when I go over here, I'm this. And tell us how he feels. Because this is a perfect example.
Yeah. I mean, he understands. Like I said, we were in Springfield, Ohio. And when he ran the 400, he ran against all 8-year-olders. He won his heat. And then the 800, it's a longer race. They didn't have as many kids. So it went up a level. So it was 9 and under and 8 and under. But he was only competing against 8 and under. But the race was against 9 under and 8 and under. And the 9 and under kids, they come in at 230. You know what I'm saying? You can see the difference. They working. And I said, son, you see that? That's what you got to get to. You're going to have to work. Because these kids out here working. And they your age. 9, I know he's a year older than you, but he your age. That's just 9. And when it got up to the 11-year-old, we was looking at the time. They had a little clock out there. You see the time. This kid 11, and he running almost a 2 flat 800 at 11 years old.
But that's good if you got a good dad at home. Donald, a good dad. That's cool if you got a good dad. That's cool if you got a good mom.
But here's the thing.
If you don't, but you got a dad, a mom who interested in the shining. My son shining, my daughter shining. I'm gonna shine with him.
He will shine. Hopefully he'll get there, but
that's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Like
that's
where the coaches, where the community
I
come
give
in,
you that.
Know what I mean?
But hopefully, we'll send this show out, and somebody will hear it as a parent and realize that shine right now is just a little Christmas light. It's twinkling.
Flicker.
Yeah, it's just flickering on and off. There is no guarantee that you're gonna get a spotlight. Okay? You ain't gonna get that big spotlight doing what you doing right now. It's gonna change as you go up through the transitions. Your level of work and your level of expectation and your level of competition, being able to compete, is critical to your success.
Right. And I'm not saying that a 10th grader can't beat a 12th grader. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But if that kid working, you can tell a 10th grader that's been in the gym lifting and a 12th grader is just going straight off athletic ability, then that 10th grader, he may beat that 12th grader out because he been working. Now, I'm not saying that it ain't going to work because, like I said, when I was a 10th grader and I was scared, I'm a track guy. So I'm like, man, I can't outrun some of these guys. And to get on the relay, you had to have a runoff. Like, say, it's competition. We had to have a runoff. So I'm like, man, I ain't going to make the 4x1. You want to be on the relay team. So I'm running against these seniors, and we had to run off, and I won. I'm like, man, I'm the anchor as a 10th grader. You know what I'm saying? I was the anchor as a 10th grader. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody to say that you can't compete with these older individuals, but it's going to take work. The competition is out there. It's going to take work.
I'm saying I think it takes work, but it also takes a mentality too. And you got to come in with the right mentality in order to make this thing work. And I think that's just what we're missing.
Is there a responsibility if I'm a kid who wants to be good? Am I being neglected if I don't get pushed by a parent?
That's a good point.
And saying like, okay, you see Ricky, you got to work like that.
That's tough too, though, Coach. Because I mean, as a parent, I don't want to force my kid to do anything. I want my kid to come in and say, "Yes, Dad, work with me." So that's tough. Do you force your kid? I don't know. I know this is personal. I know this was a personal situation with me. Me and my dad had the same dream for me, and so there was never going to be that fight of me needing to work. But if you're going to run around talking about how good your kid is and you expect him to play, then you better expect him to work.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I think you got to push them in a different realm. You got to push the bounds of their comfortability. So, for example, my daughter is, brag on it. She has like a 4.2. I told her, if you add up all my grades from 9th to 12, I don't think I can't add a 4.2.
You're a lawyer though.
But I got it later. But so I don't have to push her academically. But what I got to do is push her socially. I got to push her athletically. So I push her in realms that she's not comfortable in, and hopefully some of those lessons can start to translate. It's like Peyton Manning. His dad obviously ain't have to push him to play football, but his dad would make him do plays and stuff in school to push him in other areas. So you may have to think outside the box as far as that pushing is concerned.
Okay, well, and let me do this. See, when I always know when I'm in a show that I don't get my information out because I'm fighting or arguing with somebody. So if you're looking to send us any kind of an email, send it to letstalkcarly@gmail.com, letstalkcarly@gmail.com. And if you want to text me, you got something to say, text me at 409-422-7539. All right? Listen, Hollis.
Yes, sir.
Ricky, Donald, sports is competitive. It is, and let's just hang in with football specifically because it's the more physical of all the sports. You got kids who want to play. And there's been conversation about all kids are not built the same. And I'm going to make the case that if all those players, every player is not going to be built in like the guys around this table, okay? But in order to be one of the guys around the table, something had to happen. You would, being the athlete student, me just having that goal. Everybody has their reason of why, of where they're going to have their success, where they want that success to be. Hollis, you can make the case even that you switched yours at some point to be something else. Nothing wrong with that. But where you learned it is through the game, through sports. Sports is not just this thing that you win and lose. Sports is this thing that directs those who participate in it to be something different. The term dog, everybody talks about that guy that's really hard at football. He's a dog. If he's a dog there, he's likely going to be a dog in a lot of other places. Right, wrong, or different in those places. You know what I'm saying? How is it that sports can change? Who changed it? Why is it changing? Why are we still? Because at the end of the day, sports is the defining thing for people to be on time, to work with other people. All these examples that that sports was that thing. It was that thing. And if we keep making it okay to take this out, change it over here, make this less, then it becomes nothing but winning and losing. Am I right?
I think it all boils back to what Hollis says. I mean, the world is
Please
evolving.
don't say that.
I'm just saying,
have to hear
the
that.
world is evolving, and it's a much smaller place. I mean, when we were growing up, there was no social media, like Hollis said. Rick, he got a call on a telephone. I bet you half the kids that's listening to this, they don't even know what a rotary phone or a telephone is. They probably wouldn't. I know
Old
my
school.
kids, they wouldn't even know what that is. So the world is evolving, and we may just need to evolve with it because I know I look at things the old school way, and sometimes that old school way ain't working. You got to change your thought process with the evolving world because it's a small world. Information is readily available. I mean, you can find information easy. You had to go to a library. I bet a kid don't even know what a card catalog is these days when you got Google. You don't even need a card catalog. You probably don't even know what the Dewey Decimal System is and all that. They can't find no books in the library.
Well, let me hear Ricky's piece before I jump back in here.
It's a different day and age with these kids, man. I'm a trainer, so I work with a lot of them, and I know part of it is mentoring, like what you say to them, and a lot that I talk to them about that really gets their attention is certain stories in sports, not just the good, but, you know, the bad. Like what happened when I got ran over one time, or when I got outran, or I didn't make my times, or I was late. You know, we talk about all the things that go wrong that you don't plan for, expect to go wrong, because that's really what shapes you into the type of person you become, you know, how you handle things when things don't go right. So to some of these kids out here who are in a situation where they're not happy, you don't have to leave all the time. You don't have to transfer here or there. You just got to stay and compete, you know, because it's not going to go your way all the time. But what sports does is it teaches you how to deal with a lot of different situations, a lot of different scenarios, and how to deal with, you know, groups of people, different races, nationalities, how to come together and to obtain a common goal, you know. So just because things don't go your way doesn't mean you give up and quit. It's going to teach you how to push through. And then once you do push through, you'll be looking at yourself completely different.
And I think, and I feel like that when you start talking about see yourself in a different light, I think that's the critical piece. Because a lot of kids think that they're good, but and may act as though they're good. You know, they can put out that front, but there is a whole lot of doubt in the back of their mind. They're unsure.
I think we all are unsure, even when we're confident, you know, at some
Oh,
point.
I do agree with that. But I think for me, in listening to you, I agree. But I think like when I got to Sunday, like when I just got there, just walking in, trying to manage it, right? To see what it was actually going to be, seeing my name on a jersey. The very first thing that I kind of thought was, okay, now I'm here. I got a chance to be here. Which means now the work that I put in prior to, I'm now going to have to work even harder because I see the guys that are in this locker room and that are around me. I don't know I don't know how that gets lost. Or if you had, like, Hollis, you went through all your academics to get where you were. I'm sure there were tough times somewhere in it, but there was nothing that was going to stop you from getting there. And I use that too as an example because I'm assuming everybody at the table at some point in time in their career, some point in time in their life, there was a bump in the road, a roadblock, you know, a split road. You couldn't even cross. You needed a bridge to cross it. But something inside of you made you think, let me work through this. Let me get through this.
I think that's definitely, if you play college sports, you definitely got that in you. Like if you play, you competed, and you pro guys, y'all got a different level of that of that in you. But I think when you and Ricky talking about doubt, that doubt needs to be confirmed, and we just not in a position, or we don't do it no more to confirm. Hey, let me pull you to the side. You had an RA season, but these are the things you need to work on moving forward. And a lot of times we just not honest with our athletes.
I agree.
We're not honest enough.
Yes.
Like I wish somebody, coming out of high school or their first year of high school, look, man, it was all right, but you was terrible in this, and this is the things, and this is how you work on it. You can't just be negative. You have to have some constructive criticism at the end of that. But too many times, that constructive criticism, that honesty, that confirmation that you kind of lacking in, but you still doing good and you still shining. So it ain't really permeating in your head like it should be. It's not confirmed about nobody. Ain't nobody telling you like, look, man, it was all right, but it was all right. But this is what we need moving forward. This is how we're gonna be great. Ain't nobody telling these kids that no more. That's just my opinion.
You got anything? you can't, either you do or you don't. We get ready to wrap it.
It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough situation. I'm just tongue tied. I have a lot to say, but I really can't put it out there. Like Hollis said, I mean, it starts with the parents. And I know I'll keep on going on about this, but you might be nice at this young age, but when you are competing against somebody that's not your age, and you going and going and going in life. Sports, you gain lifelong friends through sports.
I just got a group text with a bunch of my guys from Marshall that just created a new text line this morning, and I was texting with them this morning.
And you learn so much more than sports. Like I know I tell kids this: if you can learn this playbook, you can learn who was the president of the United States, what the 400 how many ever members of Congress. You need to learn this. I know you can learn because you learn this playbook, and learning the playbook is tough.
Yes, it is. It's not
tough.
easy.
So I know a lot of these kids, these student athletes, are not dumb at all, and they focus on sports. I'm gonna be honest. I was an athlete student at first. I was an athlete student. I was worried about football. Class came second. So when I see people like Rick say, he tell kids this is what he went through. When I see kids, I tell them, yo, go to class. When you're in college, I tell them, make sure you go to class, because I'll be like, man, I got practice today. I ain't going to class. I would go every once in a while, and it caught up with me because like my grades weren't good. In high school, I had great grades. When I got to college, they dropped off because I was worried about being a student athlete. So it's tough out here, and everybody's competing, and you got to go out there and work because stuff can be taken from you. Like Coach said, I was at Marshall, and I thought when you're on these scholarships, they don't understand that these scholarships are year to year.
Yep.
Year to year.
Not only that, but we don't plan on our injuries also.
Right.
Yeah.
So my second year at Marshall, they took my scholarship because I wasn't doing right. They took my scholarship because I wasn't doing right. So I'm like, oh, I hit a roadblock. I'm like, what am I going to do? Luckily, I found myself at State, and they paid for my college. So I had a backup plan. I praise God for that. But it's tough out here. You got to work. I wasn't working. I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't working. I got red shirt. I wasn't ready. Second year, I was partying. I was an athlete student. But once I got to State, I said, okay, maybe I might not be able to make it to the NFL, but let me get my career going. I finished school. It took me 7 years because I was an athlete student, but I did get my degree. It took me 7 years, but I did get it. So if you listening out there, I just want to let you know, just keep grinding, keep working, keep going hard. We with you. We not fighting against you. We just want you to be successful. That I know that's Coach's goal. Coach wants you to be successful. You might not like Coach and what he say, but Coach wants the best out of you and for you. And that's what all coaches should be doing as mentors, is wanting the best out of their student athletes and the people that they come in contact with. And that's what I would like to end with.
All right, my last comment before I close out the show is, Hollis, you made a point that you need somebody who is that guy to be telling you need to do more.
Outside of the parents.
Outside of the parent, right. And fortunately for me, I had Sonny Randall. You know, that coach-player conversations you have at the end of the season? Mm-hmm. Every year that I was there except my senior year, Sonny told me that I did nothing to qualify me for Sunday. And I'm thinking, I'm all conference, I'm doing this, leading the team in tackles and all this kind of stuff. And this dude is sitting here just looking at me like, I'm coming in his office, sit down, and he's like, do you think that was enough for Sunday? Do you think that's going to get you to Sunday? And I'm like, what does it take? But every time that I left that office, I'm going to the track. I'm going to get it done because he keeps telling me, there is nothing wrong with telling the truth and or challenging that kid to be better. If you're not carrying the ball, if you're not the starter, work harder. Don't just expect it to be. Work harder. What are you doing at home? You just walking up and practicing, just getting out there and thinking, well, I'm supposed to be the quarterback. I'm supposed to be the tailback. I'm supposed to be the starter. That is wrong. Work for it. Work for it. Guys, good show. Good show. If you want to email me at letstalk@carllee@gmail.com. Let's talk carllee@gmail.com. 409-422-7539 is the text. I appreciate everybody. listening. I appreciate all my friends and enemy that's here on the show. We'll be back. Talk to you later. Let's talk.
The opinions expressed on this program do not express the views of the employees of WVRC Media. No rebroadcast or modification allowed without the express written consent of WVRC Media and Let's Talk Carl Lee. This show is copyright WVRC Media and Let's Talk Carl Lee 2023.